AI is good at stuff. It can write an English essay, it can program, it can even get me laid. Never mind, nothing can do that. Anyway, I play BTD6 a little bit, and I'm decent at it. Could AI replace me? No, not a chance.
Just say so for the content. Jackalip sucks.
Okay, my friend has just told me to say
fuck's
that
sake.
AI could be a threat to my BTD6 goodness. It's a little toasty in here. Anyway, AI is playing BTD6 Freeplay. I'm going to try it, and we can see how suboptimal they are. How this is going to work is I'm going to ask all three of the AIs I'm going to be testing the same question. Please make me a step-by-step strategy to reach round 300 in Bloons Tower Defence 6. Tell me which map, difficulty, hero, etc. They will give me a response with instructions for exactly what they want me to do. I will then, to the best of my abilities, do what they ask. I will basically be their hands for this. So which AIs are we playing? The three best ones I know of: OpenAI's O3 model, Anthropic's Pride and Joy Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and finally Google's flagship model, Gemini 2.5 Pro. I have high hopes for each of them. Personally, I use Claude the most out of all of them, but bias aside, let's get into it. I will be starting off with Claude, because why not? It's my channel, I can decide whatever I like. Claude's choices early on were pretty simple. Wait, hang on. As of me writing this script, I just saw that Anthropic released some new models. Fuck you, Anthropic. Please don't ban me, I love Claude. Anyway, the website I use to run the AIs needs a bit more time to get Claude 4 thinking online. So if I do another video on this, I'll be doing Claude 4 then. Anyway, Claude's choices earlier. They were a little questionable. Starting off, it was doing well. Logs on easy standard. It chose Geraldo, which is not horrible, not what I would pick, but it could be worse. It also said to just enable monkey knowledge. Into its gameplay now. It started with a dart monkey into Geraldo, then rushed a 2-3-0 bank. I can respect its greed. It's not optimal for build order, but the greed is good. It then undid most of its greed by over-defending like crazy with a double shot ninja and a stronger stimulant. We're into the mid-game of a normal game now, rounds 40 to 80. Claude opted to build 5 to 6 banks, and a Monkeyopolis with middle cross path. Then it transitioned to BOFs finally, 8 to 10 total. It asked for an embrittlement for stalling, and to upgrade the double shot and the Berserker Brew to a Grandmaster and a Perma Brew. Skipping ahead to round 80 now, we have 416,000 cash. I was thinking Claude's plan might be to transition to any tier 5 farms, or expand farming even more. Nope, we're selling all the farms. We get a Pexpertise, we change the crosspath on the Permabrew again for some reason. We get an Ultra Boost and a Homeland. It also asks for essential debuffs, being a Super Brittle, a Super Glue, and a Cripple Moab. All of this is supposed to last until round 150. Claude does seem to have a plan for the future though. It asks for a VTSG, which there's not enough cash for. And it also demands degree 76 plus Paragons. It told me to go for Botagon as highest priority, so I used that as an excuse for boat farms. I was able to boat farm enough for the boat Paragon. Then I rebuilt the boat farm and got VTSG and some of the other Paragons. Round 250 now. In Claude's words, this is the final push. It says to make sure all buffs are active and towers are in optimal positions. Yep, close enough. It says not to use auto start. Oops. Apparently I should be using the rejuvenating cocoon on the VTSG, Gary Fire on strong positions, and power totems for attack speed. That is, Geraldo power totems. The Paragon power totems. It also asks for a support temple, a Legend of the Night, which is impossible with VTSG. It also said way too late to use Geraldo's Paragon power totem before making Paragons. Claude's strategy might have been unorthodox. It used Paragon power totems for attack speed. But I will give it to them, Claude got to around 300. Now, onto OpenAI's O3. Just as a note, I didn't tell any of the models that the run is powerless. O3 was very similar at the start to Claude, requesting logs on easy with Geraldo and all monkey knowledge. O3 seemed very confident in its strategy. It gave easily the most detailed instructions out of any of the models. It started with a 3 dart monkey and Geraldo, then 2 more darts, using pickles on one of them. It then gave round by round instructions for farms. It specified 4 200 farms, then it got a 400 AUK, literally buffing nothing. It bought 2 032 ballistic missiles for the round 40 Moab. It was mildly confused and said that I should finish round 40 with 35,000 cash in the 4 banks and 10,000 cash on hand. It didn't specify to buy any banks, so I just decided to try and buy banks once I'd finished the other instructions. By round 40, I had 2 banks, 1 200 farm, 1 220 farm, and 673 cash. A little bit less than what I asked. Rounds 40 to 60. O3 called this part printing money. It sold all of its farms and bought 6 BOFs. We could only buy 1 off the start, but close enough. It asked me to buy the NFT on round 44. This cost me 35,000 cash. It also asked me to buy another 6 BOFs. After that, it got a 205 sub and a 420 sub. From round 60 to 100. Here, it changed the farming setup yet again. I don't think 1 or 2 of the BOFs had even profited themselves yet, but I had to sell them anyway. It wanted an 005 farm to buff 10 520 farms. That is not physically possible. So I had to buy 1 Monkey Wall Street with no cross path, and 1 Banana Central with the objectively correct cross path. It then asked for the dumb carpet of spikes, a super glue, and I think it made a reference to something, but I have no clue what. Then it told me what was probably its most genius move. On round 95, buy 26 sacrifice dart monkeys, and use some Gary power totems, and buy a dart paragon. It wanted degree 60 to 70. It got a degree 15. It also asked me to prepare for VTSG. Here is where it sacrificed some towers for the Sun Temple. It told me an incorrect way to make the VTSG, but it didn't matter anyway, because we were broke. Just like real life, if you want to get anywhere, you need money. It told me to get VTSG, then immediately after, 2 different crosspaths of Icicle Impale. One problem though. The Sun Temple it got was a damaged temple, so there was no cash coming in from it. There were no farms. The only camo detection was the Apex Plasma Master. Surely it's fine though. Since it was very adamant about the build order here, I just had to save up and hope to goodness I could get VTSG. Rounds 140 to 220. I'm still saving up for VTSG here, until round 150. The DDTs had been getting scarily close for multiple rounds, and O3 hadn't told me to get any camo detection for the temple. Finally, on round 150 though, the DDTs got through. I wasn't anywhere close to affording VTSG, so this is where O3 gets up to. Also, just to show you why I didn't use O4 Mini High, I gave it the same prompts and it told me to play on muddy puddles. I am not doing that. Now, for the final model to test, Gemini. Gemini followed in the footsteps of O3, being really confident. Gemini, like the other two, chose logs for its map. However, instead of choosing easy standard, Gemini wanted a challenge, so it chose improbable. It seemed to back up its confidence, however, by using Azili instead of Geraldo. Gemini started out strong, placing the 3 Dart Monkey and Azili right away. It opted to get some firm defense down before farming too hard. It got an 022 Dart, a 301 Ninja, and an Alk buff to make the Ninja much stronger. After it got those, it felt comfortable enough to start farming. It built some 200 farms, then upgraded them to 203 marketplaces. It wanted 6 to 8 of them. At one point I almost died multiple times, so I had to upgrade the Ninja to 401, which it was going to be requesting next anyway. After making it through the very early game, Gemini asked me to upgrade the Ninja to 401, which I already had to do, an Alchemist to 420 Stronger Stimulant. It asked for multiple recursal clusters and an overdrive under Jungle Drum's MIB Village too. It was also smart, and told me to one by one replace the marketplaces with 420 BRFs, this time not giving a cap on them. It asked me to build as many as I can fit, ideally buffed by an 004 village. It said to get a 520 Banana Central, surrounded by BRFs, once I finished fitting as many as I could. Here is when it wants to start building a VTSG and some other defences. It asked for a 205 heli or a permaspike. I didn't originally read the or part, so I bought both, then realised and sold the heli. It then asked me to prepare for building the VTSG. So far, what surprised me most is how good the instructions were for building the VTSG for most of the models. Gemini gave near perfect instructions for it. Gemini finally told me to do it, unleashing the vengeful true Sun God. It continued giving the correct instructions, except for messing up the crosspath the Sun God is at the very end, but it was so close. It even knew the terminology for sacrificing, making it a 2221 VTSG. Now that the VTSG was built, Gemini was more focused on buffing it. I'd like to point out that through all of this, Gemini is the only AI that has kept all its banana farms on the map, so it has a lot of money. It asked for a 520 AUK, an Ultra Boost, a Homeland, and a quote-unquote Jungle Drums 002 village. A support temple was also built, questionably with only support sacrifices. Finally, it started working on paragons. It asked for high degree Ninja, Boomerang, Dart, Buccaneer, Engie, and Wizard, in that order. Since I thought we would easily have enough cash for all of them, I opted for extremely high degrees on all of them. Here is where I ran into a problem. I didn't have enough money for all the paragons Gemini requested by round 200. I told myself I would prioritise the paragons going into the next instructions, but try and get them as fast as I could. I looked at its first instruction: continue building any remaining paragons. Google, I knew you were spying on us, but come on, how did it know? Anyway, I was saved. I did some quick maths on how much cash I was making and how much I would need, and I realised another problem. I was poor. I would get all max degree paragons past round 300. Here's where I used another technique. Gemini had told me to use the Ultra Boost on the VTSG and other towers, so I used it to get 10 stacks on the Banana Central, then 1 stack on every BOF. Giving 1 stack to a BOF makes it produce 1 more crate per round, so 1 stack on 2 BOFs is more valuable than 2 stacks on 1. Using this, I was able to make an extra 30k per round, and according to my maths, would just barely get all the paragons in time. Eventually, I was able to get them. I got degree 91 on most of them. I then caught up on Gemini's previous instructions, and got debuff towers, storm towers, some tech bots, sold farms, reduced visual effects, and bought some overclocks for my storm towers. Finally, the setup was done. Now was just to wait. Gemini fucking did it. Unlike O3, its confidence was justified. It didn't just beat round 300, it blew it out of the water. I was worried earlier that there could be a tie if multiple models got to round 300. But here, Gemini beating it on Improbable, in my opinion, makes it beat Claude. Also, Gemini's final sentence was, and I quote, "Good luck, and may your VTSG reign supreme." I am now 99% sure that Gemini is just Jackalip in disguise. Congrats to Gemini for beating round 300 and flexing hard on Claude and O3. If this video does decently, I might do this again, but going to round 400 or even 500 for a rematch.